Hey, and welcome back to Talk a Better Worlds. I'm SirFelixTheCat, and this is Nerd Talk Thursday. So, here's a interesting question. Are graphics for a video game really that important? And yes. But no. But yes. I mean, kinda. It really comes down to what kind of game you're playing, I would have to say. Like, let's say you're going to play a first-person shooter. You're probably going to want better graphics. That's been a goal of first-person shooters forever, is you don't see them, like, downgrade. You don't see too many, like, pixel demasters of, like, Halo or something like that. You want something a little more in-depth. You can see your enemies better while they're hiding behind a rock. Meanwhile, if you're playing, like, a bunch of pixel games, you might see, like, your pixely rock, and then there's just maybe an extra pixel sticking up. You're not going to know what that is. It could just be a shadow. It could be a branch sticking up. It's not going to work out too well. I mean, I play a lot of RPGs. RPGs don't necessarily need the best graphics. It's cool to have them. Like, as much as anybody else, I love seeing a game with, like, some pretty graphics. I was talking about this previously on the podcast. Go back and look at Final Fantasy VII on the PS1. By today's standards, yeah, character models are pretty bad. Like, they don't look that great. But those backgrounds, they looked amazing. It's nice to have that. It's nice to see in the cutscenes all this, like, cool stuff happening with pretty graphics. But for the gameplay itself, did it really matter? Did those graphics make the story of the game? Is it just purely graphics why people love that game and it's considered one of, like, the best Final Fantasy games ever made? Not really. It's kind of a pick or choose your category type thing. Again, so you have the first person shooters for, yes, you need good graphics. You have the RPGs, not really necessary. You also have, like, these just straight up conversation games, the visual novels, which, yeah, it's just basically pictures of people talking. Do graphics matter there? No, you're just throwing up a picture. I mean, really, you could probably do this with, like, some stick figure paintings, which, I mean, you don't want me to make these stick figure paintings because, as you can see on screen, I can't draw. There's no artistic talent in that form for me. Ever. But when you have so many different genres of games, like fighting games, RPGs, first-person shooters, racing, sports, it varies. It varies from game to game. Sports, I don't think you need great graphics. I mean, my favorite football game is not Madden. And Madden goes for, like, oh, look at the best graphics. These players look like the real players on the field. And does that make the game good? No, Madden isn't that great of a game. I mean, it's one that they come out with yearly, but really, you only need to buy it every, like, 5-6 years when maybe they change something and not just the name of a mechanic they've had for the past 10 years. And be like, oh yeah, look, we're doing this new thing where now you can use the stick to move this way. You've been doing that for a while. It really doesn't matter. You're not changing anything. It's the same game literally every year. You're just changing the characters. Like, that's cool. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. For a racing game, are racing games better because of the better graphics? Is the Forza series really better than the original Mario Kart? It's going to be a preference thing. I'm going to straight up say no. I don't play Forza myself, but I've seen my stepson play it, and yeah, he likes it. But also, I don't think it's that great. I also don't like the fact that he can just drive around forever and never take any damage. Like, that's just trash. I see him take out, like, trees. A little car just plowing through trees. But let's take a look at great games from both sides. We're going to see some that have great graphics, that were known for their great graphics, and we're going to take a look at some that, you know, they're older. They don't have the best graphics. And we'll see which ones really are a better game. So we're going to start off with the lower quality graphics. And we're going to go out, we're going to hit some pretty big titles. One of them, Stardew Valley. So in Stardew, it's a little bit better than just your standard pixel they look cool. I like the look of the game. It's very warm and fuzzy feeling when you see it. And it's not the most high depth thing. It's not like streaming in like 4K with like where you see every pore on your character's face. But is it a bad game because of that? No, Stardew Valley is one of the best games ever made. It is the farming game. I mean, before this, it was Harvest Moon, which was a little more pixely, and then went 3D and whatnot with the GameCube and everything after that. But Stardew is a fantastic game, and it's one that people would say is a beautiful game. There's no question about that. Stardew is a beautiful game. Another one that's not big on graphics, Minecraft. And as we all know, nobody's ever played Minecraft. It's not just one of the most popular, biggest games ever made because of its graphics. Yeah, you know, everybody says like, oh, it's such an ugly game, I'll never play that. As it's still one of the best-selling games of all time. Tetris. Again, these are just little blocks falling from the sky. And does it have the best graphics? No, literally it was just pixels. This came out on the old Nintendo consoles, which were like 8-bit, 16-bit. It's nothing to like gawk at and be like, oh my god, you see how impressive that is? No, it's Tetris. It's Tetris. It's blocks falling from the sky. It doesn't have to have the best graphics ever. And I mean, we even had that like Tetris 99 Battle Royale, whatever the heck it was. I never played it because to me the T block just always comes at the worst time and you just don't know where to put it, and then it ends up just screwing up your whole thing, and you have this little tiny block, this one hole down at the bottom of the screen that you just can't ever get rid of, because once you made that mistake, you're just screwed. Game over. Game over. You're going to lose eventually. But then let's talk about games that have great graphics. And there's one that literally it was so great at the time, for its time, keep that in mind. It still holds up today, I think, but you know, it's not, again, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or something like that, where literally, again, you see every pore on your character's face. Woohoo! But Crysis. This game was such a powerful, like a graphical powerhouse that it was just breaking computers. It was just frying them. And yeah, was that great? Yeah, it looks really good. But again, that's a first-person shooter, and that's one of those categories where I feel like it truly does belong. Like, truly. And there's, like, fighting games like Tekken, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we had the newest one come out, and it's very pretty. When you watch the video for it, you're going to see Jin fighting. He's going to fall to the ground. You're going to see, like, little pebbles fly up into the sky from his impact on the ground. You're going to see sweat pouring down his face. And yeah, it looks nice. Like, they did a good job. I'm not going to knock that. Like, good graphics do look good. I mean, that's why they're good graphics. But does that make the game? I don't know. Personally, I'm going to go back and play like Tekken 3 on the PS1, which yeah, at the time was a big step up from like Nintendo games. But it was fine for what it is. Today, I still think it looks fine for what it is. There's a lot of games like PS2, it was better than the PS1. But I didn't just love those games because they looked better than the PS1. We love those games because they were good games. That's just really what it comes down to. And I mean, we have those games that are literally like text-based adventures. And again, they have like little images that pop up. You do see like a level. But look at Citizen Sleeper. Gone over this one before. It doesn't have the most impactful graphics. It's pretty for what it is and what it does show. But people play it because it's a good game. It's got a good story. It's got substance to it. And I don't think that just because a game has good graphics, that means it has substance. It could be very pretty and just be complete and utter trash. And we've had that. Like, in my opinion, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a trash game. Like, it was cool for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then it just clicked that, oh, this game is trash, it's 99% filler, and it's nothing I really want to play. If I want to play Final Fantasy VII, I'm going to play Final Fantasy VII, not just some overly done graphical powerhouse game that wastes my time. Slaps me in the face for buying it. because it can't be the full game. It's like, hey, we're going to take a game you already played and split it up into like 3 different parts, and you're going to pay full price for each one. Isn't that great? No. I don't care how great Rebirth was. The fact that it's following that same protocol, bad game. I'm never going to play it because I think it's a bad game because of that. Okay, I lie. If it comes to Switch 2, I'll probably end up picking it up because I'm a sucker and just like to play everything handheld on my Switch. I mean, things happen. Am I going to enjoy it? Probably not. Am I going to hate myself after I do it? Yes, I'm going to be very mad at myself that I bought a game I have no interest in. But that's what I do. I like to waste my time with that. It's just a favorite pastime of mine. I mean, I've bought a few different Dark Souls games. I have Dead Souls, I have Dark Souls 1. I don't know if I have 2, I have 3. I always debate buying Elden Ring. Do I like Dark Souls games? No, I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of the combat. It's way too slow, way too clunky. It just doesn't look fun. And iframes. I hate iframes. Hate the whole idea of like, hey, the way you're going to beat a game is to use a mechanic that really shows that you're not great, but you know how to abuse a system just to get through. But that's getting good, I guess. Not using actual skill, using a cheap little tactic, and that's how you get good. And like, I'm a big fan of like Super Nintendo. I'm a big fan of the retro systems. I love playing games like Chrono Trigger, which it has cool, flashy, like pixels going on, but it's also not the most in-depth, high graphical game ever. I like the old Dragon Quest. It's the same situation there. There's just really not anything that turns me off with having pixelated graphics. I mean, some of the most enjoyable games, as I've said before, with like Stardew Valley or Minecraft, they are pretty bad graphics, but you can make up for it with the gameplay. So let's focus less on some of the graphics a lot of the times and focus on just quality gameplay. Look at Zelda. You have Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. They're newer games. They have pretty great graphics. But are they better? Are they truly better than Ocarina of Time? A game that's considered one of the best games of all time. And is it because of the graphics that you think Tears of the Kingdom is better? I mean, if that's your personal preference, that's whatever. But is it truly a better game because of that? No, because in Ocarina of Time, you don't have to worry about your sword breaking every 30 seconds. I mean, that's a side tangent. But, you know, it's good to have these things. It's good to have graphics at times. But older games do completely hold up today. Echo the Dolphin, it holds up. And I mean, I even talked to my wife about this, and I've mentioned her before on the podcast. She's not a gamer. She doesn't play games. She doesn't really like the fact that I play too many games. She doesn't like the fact that her son's always playing games, or her daughters are always playing games. What she does like, though, are classic games like Duck Hunt on the NES. And, yeah, fun game. Did it have great graphics? No, it's NES. It was like 8-bit. But it was pretty for what it was. It completely worked. It always worked when it let you shoot the dog and you couldn't do any damage, which was sad. So sad. Things always laughing at you, making you look like a fool. But anyways, I asked her about it, and I was kind of shocked by her response. I looked at her and I was like, hey, I know you don't play games, but you've seen me play games. You've seen your son play games. Do you think graphics are important in a video game? Do you need the best graphics for your game to be good? And from a non-gamer, her response was, yes, I need good graphics in my game. Shocking. Completely shocking. Is it the most unexpected answer on earth? No. I mean, if she was to come out and say, oh, I love video games, that would be shocking. That would be the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life, because not true and all. And yeah, so that kind of brings us back to where we started. Are graphics the most important thing in a game? No. Are graphics important in any way? Kinda. Like, you don't want to just have a blank screen. I mean, imagine you're playing Pong, but it's just a black screen. Is it going to be a fun game? No, you don't have the lines to move the ball back and forth. It's not going to be that fun. A game does need some sort of visual in a way. Or at least if it's going to be a text-based game, it needs to have a lot of text on it so you can read something. It needs to have something you can interact with and enjoy and be brought into that story. So yes, I think stuff like Citizen Sleeper are great games. They are text-based, but they do have images. So to an extent, yes, graphics are always going to be important. Do they need to be the best graphics? Not really, and again, unless you're playing like a first-person shooter. Or something a little more in-depth, like if you're playing one of these mass army games like Dynasty Warriors, you want to see some sort of graphics. Because just having like JPEGs coming up and fighting each other, it's not going to be fun. It's going to look pretty bad if it's just have like this stagnant photo coming up, and you're going to have them run into the other stagnant photo, and they just collide. It's going to look pretty bad. Does it necessarily mean it's going to be a trash game? No, because they could also, again, make up with a story. They could make it up with something else that goes on in the game that draws you in. But yeah, these are just kind of some of my thoughts on graphics. 'Cause I always hear about it like games need to be the prettiest, especially from a younger generation. Given they play Fortnite and it's not like the top tier graphics, it does look decent. Like the animations are good. The colors are bright and it pulls people in. But I don't know. There's just something about it that makes me think it could be done with worse graphics. I mean, you could literally go out there and have those characters look like the original Final Fantasy sprites. And that'd be fine. That would be fine. It would probably still work. It's a third-person shooter. I kind of get that. First-person shooter, again, need somewhat decent graphics in order to see what the heck's going on. But yeah, that's my thoughts. You tell me yours. I really don't know where I'm going with this, but I want to know everybody else's opinion on graphics. How important are they to your game? Do they need to be the best? Can they be kind of jank? Does it affect your game if it's not top-tier graphics? Like if The Witcher looked more like Chrono Trigger, are you going to be upset? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments and, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, you take care. Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.